If you back from in the 60s, 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches back over west of the mountains where the traffic Camille, pretty manageable. Nobody's really, they're saying heavy rains, you know, maybe there'll be some localized flooding. It gets east and starts, the low starts to deepen. They get this, they get 27 inches of rain. One of the great stories, and I've told this before, is one of the stories you read about it is a guy when he's in Nelson County, he's trying to evacuate his kid. He was scared his kid would drown if he held him face up, so he held him upside down when he breathed. Here's the terrain contour. Again, terrific upslope. That's probably not all that happens. As I said, it deepens, but it also, again, we get the thing of an upper level trough coming in. We've got the entrance region of a jet. We've got an area where, look what happens. These are real. You can't see them very well. Unfortunately, I should have enhanced them. But they're not very close together, the isobars, I mean the temperature line. Now they're squeezing together, and you get this low deepens. Deepens over land. It deepens because it's getting help from the upper level. And I'm sure help from the nocturnal convection that they have. In Washington, we didn't get squat.
We're used to that.
Agnes. Agnes is one of the ones for Maryland and Virginia and Pennsylvania is one of the big storms. One of the things, like, let's start down here again. What do we see? Low back over here, low deepens. It deepens as it's moving northward. Now let's look at the upper levels. This massive troughs coming in, a tremendous jet streak, entrance region of one jet streak, but with time we also have the exit region of another, super strong divergence. The 500 circulation associated with our nice little Agnes is here. Now it gets sucked back. It's all one thing. It's essentially doing what our favorite snowstorms do. That's, at least if you live down here, that would be a favorite snowstorm. That wouldn't be so good for up there. But it's gone through cyclogenesis and extratropical transition. It's essentially becoming a hybrid storm where it's still got a lot of the moisture and latent heat involved from a lot of rainfall and a lot of precipitation processes going on. But it also is getting that extra oomph from the upper levels. And if you lived in the Midwest, there was a big one. Remember, was it, how many years ago was Ike?
This last year?
Yeah, Ike last year. Does anybody remember how strong the winds were back up in the Indiana?
70, 80, 90.
Yeah, 70, 80 miles an hour. Same dang gone thing. It's a transitioning type thing. It gets involved with an upper trough and the strong winds, and then you actually have some downward transport of momentum and to enhance the wind. And this is what Agnes did. Boom, boom, boom. You live in here, hardly any rain, not many tornadoes. You living back in here, and you're thinking, what the heck's going on? They didn't say I was going to get 15 plus inches of rain. Didn't say the Susquehanna was going to have record-breaking floods. I'm sure they thought it would be bad, but not that bad. This came, Bozard and Carr came up with this little diagram for what you can get prior to the storm. You have this center of the circulating heaviest rain somewhere to the east, and then very often you have a pre-event, something that occurs sort of like Floyd did, where you have the front and you have an entrance region of a jet back over here. Since then, they've actually done a study on pre's, these events that occur removed from the storm, out ahead of the storm, or some. This one's kind of famous because it hit New York, and anything that hits New York or Washington usually makes the news. But pretty subtle thing. Really heavy rainfall. This is what happened with New York with it. So how do we get these funny looking things? Well, you can get them from You get one thing, tropical cyclone rainfall. You get another one somewhere with the upper trough, and the orientation can differ. We'll show that a little bit later. You also can get something near the theta E ridge axis, and that's an area where you very often have destabilization occurring, so you can get extra little boost of rainfall. And this is also getting to be where you have some terrain influence, right? You got the mountains back in here. I always hated back